These Biloxi blues, it happens every night. And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
Have not.
The summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time.
Sing.
This highway does not know my name, and I don't care.
Nope.
No, I don't care. Headed my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare.
Right to the old hook.
Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget live, not so live, from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill here in beautiful southern middle Tennessee. And welcome all you low lifers and new to be low lifers and OG low lifers. And some of you that aren't low lifers, but you're just peeking through the blinds. Everybody's welcome to Low Budget Live. This is the podcast for August the 8th, 2022. 8. It's a very, very, very important day in my life. 8-8, because 8 years ago on 8-8, the triple threat, Marissa D, said I do to yours truly. And we've been living a crazy traveling circus life ever since. 5 kids between us, the Brady Bunch, and we have a large time here in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, and it's never short of chaotic, and it's never short of incredible. So I appreciate her for putting up with me for many moons now, and hopefully many moons to come. Last week I kicked off the show talking a little bit about where we were headed. We were headed up to Nashville to spend the weekend and hang out with them Turnpike boys at the Ryman. But this week, as you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to be sitting on a beach somewhere. I'm going to be sitting somewhere tropical. I'm going to be having somebody say, here you go, sir. There's another cerveza. Would you like some more chips and dip? Maybe a pizza topped with ice cream. It's all inclusive. You can have whatever you want. I am a professional at all-inclusive. Nothing about my body type says that dude doesn't hurt a place that's all-inclusive when he walks through the door. Like, I get my money's worth. And it's been the triple threat, and I try to go to places all-inclusive every now and then. You know, we've been 3 or 4 times in our marriage, and it's been like 2 years since we've been. And she said, hey, for our 8th anniversary on 8-8, let's get the heck out of Dodge. And so we are for about 3 or 4 days. So as you're listening to this, just know I'm getting taken care of. I'm getting pampered up. We take care. We work hard. We take care of these youngins all the time. And as you listen to this, somebody is absolutely just, man, I can't believe you ate that much ice cream. I can't believe you had that many tacos. Why did you order lobster and steak and then lobster and steak again? Because I can. Why did you order room service at 3 a.m? All this food for one person? Yes, it is. Bring it. Bring it. If I got to have my stomach pumped, I feel like I accomplished what I set out to do. So y'all be thinking about me down there. And it's crazy because last weekend was so amazing in Nashville, and then we're going to have another amazing weekend. And I think, man, you got to do stuff like that in life. And I'm grateful for the opportunities, and I'm blessed, and I know that. The Turnpike boys put on a hell of a show both nights at the Ryman. Can't believe I got to be there. And shout out to Ryan Engelman, lead guitar player, a guy I consider a friend, and you know, really gotten to know each other over the last few months since he was on the podcast. And he's awesome, down to earth human, and they are on a meteoric rise right now that is just so cool to witness. And it's like pulling for your home team, and they win everything they can, and then they get an opportunity to play on a national level. And Turnpike's been on a national level for a long time, don't get me wrong. But what, they go through their deal, 3-year hiatus, and now they're back, and it's just happening for them, man. And those shows, the windows almost blew out. The people singing every word to every song. It was an honor to be in the crowd, and we got to hang out up there with those boys, and great dudes all the way around, and we had a large time. Now, I will say this. I have lived the musician life to the fullest at times in my life. And I forgot what getting in at like 3 and 4 in the morning does to me. And I can't hang with them boys, all right? I can't hang as much as I used to be able to hang. But had a great time nonetheless. Triple threat. Harper came up, and we celebrated her 21st birthday. She turned 21 at midnight on Sunday morning. I got to buy her first legal shot of alcohol up there, which is bizarre, but we had a great time. She came both nights to the Ryman. 49 Winchester opened for them Saturday night. If you hadn't looked up, those boys do it. And the Vandaliers opened the first night. A couple of them went out with us on Friday night. Great young dudes out there doing it too. It almost like a country punk band. Very cool. Very cool. So go check all them folks out, man. The hardworking musicians just doing it right now. Just absolutely doing it. Real quick before I get into some real important stuff, not to overshadow the fact that we were at the Turnpike shows the first time they ever played the Ryman, sell it out both nights, all that in the middle of it, fantastic. When we got there, and I know some of y'all have seen this on my social media, but when we got there on Friday evening, we walk in the hotel, staying downtown there, at one of my favorite places, and WWE SummerSlam's going on, right? On Saturday night. It's going to be happening. And there's very clearly dudes that look like wrestlers, but also you had this other deal, StarCast going on, and Ric Flair was going to wrestle in his last match. I was a wrestling fiend when I was a kid. Fiend, man. Like from 10 years old to 14, dude, that was life. The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, freaking Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Razor Ramon. R.I.P. Razor Ramon. Loved it, man. Loved it. And I'm bummed out because my kids don't watch it now. But I went to, this is what's crazy. Rick's last match was a Municipal Auditorium. I got tickets for Christmas to WCW Starrcade, and Ric Flair battled it out with the one and only Macho Man Randy Savage. And I was like second row. One of my favorite memories is like a 12-year-old kid. And so Marissa and I are sitting there on the couch. Our room wasn't ready when we got there. And we were there past check-in time, and it wasn't ready. So they were like, hey, have a drink, chill in the lobby. So we're sitting there. Like it'll be 15, 20 minutes. So I'm seeing all these dudes. I'm like, yeah, and I don't watch wrestling anymore. My kids aren't into it, which bums me out, like I said. And I tell her, I'm like, keep your head on a swivel. Because if Ric Flair happens to be here, and I swear I say this, I'm like, that is one picture I will go get in life. Making a joke, basically. I'm playing on my phone, of course, and she goes, you're not going to believe who just walked into the lobby. Turn around. Woo! Ric Flair himself, baby. I mean, there he was. I mean, just jumped straight up, and hit the daggum door. I mean, beat him to the door. Sorry, I was getting a call from our guest while I'm recording. He's on his way. We're going to do a little in-person LBO. So I run over there, and there's like 7 or 8 women with him, of course, including his daughter, Charlotte, come out. And few people are bugging him, taking pictures, but not many. Dude, he's just doing the thing. He's just Ric Flair, man. It's just happening, right? And I said, Mr. Flair, I've watched you since I was 10 years old. And he didn't really acknowledge me, which is cool because he's Ric freaking Flair. Who cares? And I said, you mind if I get a picture? He said, I got to go, son. You got one, make it a good one. And by God, when I say me and Ric Flair took the greatest selfie of all time and he cheesed it up for it, Ric Flair is my man. I wish he could have thrown me in the figure 4 leg lock. No big deal. I think I could have got out of it. Maybe not. I mean, he's a little older now. Or at least a good chest slap or something. I don't know. But I got to meet freaking Ric Flair. All my dreams have came true in life. And I might just retire everything. I might quit doing the podcast. I might sell my house, move away, live in the woods in Montana. Like I have peaked. Ryan Engelman wears a low budget live hat on the Ryman stage, representing the low lifers in the Turnpike debut. That gets to me. It's awesome. He's a good man. And then in the same day I meet Ric Flair. It's over, Johnny. It's over. It's over. So, yeah, a little humble brag week on the podcast. Like, you can say what you want to about me. You could say what you think about the podcast. You can be a hater. You can do whatever. But I got news for you. I'm living my best life. I'm just going to say that. There are days I piss and moan, whatever. But right now, I'm living my best life. And I'm proud of that. And it's a lot of fun, man. And all of this happens because of this show. So thank y'all. All right. It's also coming up on the 5-year anniversary of this show. And that's so crazy to me. August, I forget the exact date, but we're there. We're in that time frame. So want to, and I know you guys, some of y'all get tired of sponsor reads and things like that, but that's what makes this all possible. Okay. It really does. And I've been approached by a company that I have been familiar with for the last couple months. I see it around. There's a guy that I am very much a fan of that owns this company, Bear Holman, legendary saltwater guy down in the Keys. Just basically just a cool ass dude. Okay. And he has started a Worcestershire sauce company. Say that 3 times fast. I can't. And that's why it is called the W sauce, because the term Worcestershire Worcestershire sauce was created in Europe. And this is America. And these colors don't run. And so we've got bigger, better, and badder Worcestershire sauce. And they just call it the W sauce because that name's from Europe. So very cool. They have partnered up with me, with LBL. And I am elated because y'all know, you follow me on Instagram. I cook a ton. I love to grill. I love to do things. And the only 2 products they have in the line right now are the W sauce and then Fireshire, which is a spicy W sauce. And of course, Bloody Mary mix. You can use this on Bloody Mary, things like that. But they've got a lot of other products coming out. Please support them. And no codes, no anything. And they really didn't even want me to do ad reads for them. But just want to be a part of what we've got going on here. And this is not your typical what you're going to buy on the shelf at the grocery store. This stuff is awesome. It's available in a lot of stores. It's available online. Doesn't break the bank. The W sauce. Go check that out. I am honored to be a part of what they got going on. It's a really cool story. And I hope that you guys, when you're thinking about grilling, you want to try something different, go check them out, and more products to come certainly in the next year or so from what they're telling me. So thanks to them for thinking enough of you lowlifers and of me to partner with us. StarTron, Starbright, the OG sponsor of the podcast, now in our 5th year, kicking ethanol in the teeth together, shaking that StarTron bottle. Ethanol will gum up the works. Faux show in your outboard engine, in your, and maybe it's in your dadgum GMC. Maybe it's in your GMC, which, by the way, I went and picked up this week. But no, actually, it was the motor just blew. Had nothing to do with ethanol. It's just a piece of So anyways, StarTron couldn't even bail me out of that situation. So StarTron, use it in your weed eater, use it in your chainsaw, use it in your side-by-side. Most importantly, use it in that outboard engine and kick ethanol in the teeth. We appreciate the folks at StarTron. Pro Guide batteries. You can use that code LBL10 at Pro Guide to get you some of those new lithiums, to get you those 31 AGMs. They've got a lot of new products on there. Get on ProGuideBatteries.com. Be sure to leave a review when you do, and be sure to use that code LBL10 to let them know you are a low lifer. Baitworks.com. Got that old LOB, that little old power finesse jig coming from Baitworks and Trocar Hooks. Been working with those folks on that. You can use code Duncan-10 at checkout for all things online tackle to save you a little bit of money and let them know you're a low lifer. Absolutely. I've been doing this for, God, I don't know, I've been in the fishing industry since I was a kid, but been working in it, marine fishing industry for almost 20 years now. The folks at Baitworks are some of my favorite people I've ever got to work with. They are a blast to work with, and they're killing it, man. They're absolutely super aggressive, and in their selection, their pricing's fantastic, and their shipping's even better. Use code Duncan-10 at bait-works.com. All right, last but certainly not least, and I'm missing this more than anything right now in my life, but hang the banner. Express Boats, Hot Springs, Arkansas, the classic winning, high-performance aluminum bass boat, that X21 Pro. And I'm fixing to get that new bad boy as soon as I can make my way to Hot Springs, maybe as soon as next week. And we're going to start filming some videos on the new ride we're fixing to take in the old LBO headquarters here down in the shop. And cannot wait. It's got the C deck, bow to stern. I'm hooked up at that Yamaha show yet again. Got the new show on this one. Can't wait to see how that bad boy performs. And power poles, got my Garmin's, can't wait. Express X21 Pro. If you get a chance, go riding one. The X19 is also just freaking amazing boat. And I think that, they have a boat for you, even if it's not the 19 or the 21. They have a huge line, bay boats. They got the veranda pontoon line as well. So find something there from those folks at Hot Springs, Arkansas. Support the people that support what you like. Express Boats, building excitement since 1966. So them last few episodes have just been, what? They've been fire. Even the people that hate my guts have had to watch them, and that's what I love the most. Like it's funny when you know people are just like, I don't want to, but I got to. And so we've had a lot of fun. There's been a lot of, it went from being a real boring time in the industry to now, here we are. Like there's all kind of crap popping off. But I want to say this week, congrats to Michael Neal on his second Pro Circuit Angler of the Year in a row. That is a crazy feat to me. I've known Mikey a long time. He's always been just one of those dudes that's always going to be around them. He's always going to catch them, and then he is in his freaking prime right now. Good God, it's crazy to watch. But fellow Tennessee boy that is doing big things. He got married this year. He's got a lot going on, but he's catching them up. And congrats to Kyle Hall on taking that event there at Champlain home and just live scope. That's what it looked like from the outside looking in, certainly. And from some guys I talked to that were in the event, they're just like, yeah, there was people just roaming around the middle of the lake with live scope, just catching them up. So certainly has changed everything. There's no doubt about that. Man, that lake showed out. Good Lord, the weights were just insane. I've been there many times, and I don't think I've ever seen it that good. It was impressive what those guys call. And the Pro Circuit weights all year have been just stupid good. Good Lord. Me and Brad Knight were talking about that this week. Like, you got to catch them on the Pro Circuit. And you always have, but good Lord, right now it's vicious what has happened over there on that MLFLW Pro Circuit. So, 7 dudes, I think I read, are going to get BPT invites. John Hunter, Matt Becker, who's been trying. He's a fantastic angler. He's going to keep making noise. He made it in there. There are several of them. It's terrible that I don't remember all the names. I need to look it up real quick. Give them a shout out. 2 seconds. We will do it. Yeah, Spencer Sheffield, which no shocker there. He took a break from pro fishing for a little bit, but he's just absolutely nasty. He's catching them up. Spencer, Josh Butler. Shout out to Josh. He's a damn fish catcher from Alabama. Matt Becker, Nick LeBron James, Mitch Crane, John Hunter, and Jacob Wall have all got an invite if they want it. So that's 7 people. Of course, you're going to have some guys leave. You're going to have some guys get bumped, but I think you're going to have in BPT. It's going to be interesting to see who stays, who goes, who retires. I know Tim Horton said he's retiring. So that's a spot going back to them as well. You had Justin Lucas, Dakota Eber, and Michael Neal all finish in the top 10 of the points. So those spots go back to BPT guys. So that's 3 that won't get bumped. They said it was the bottom 10. They haven't done that yet ever. So we'll see if this is the year that they actually send some guys home that are dwelling around that bottom line. The problem they have, one of the problems they have, is there are a lot of owners in that bottom 10, if I've done my math correct. So it'd be interesting to see how, and some legends of the sport even. So it'd be interesting to see how they handle that situation. Sometimes they don't handle situations well, right? Let's just all be honest. As recent as what we've seen with text message gate that they've been that they botched and swept under the rug. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Something that was funny is I talked to John Cox Watch. I talked to John, and he had a rough event there at Champlain, but he was in the top 10. He told me had he requalified, he was going to try to fish all 3 again next year. He's a freaking idiot. I told him, I said, "You're an idiot. You're a glutton for punishment, John boy." But yeah, he missed out. He just barely missed it. So now he doesn't have to make that choice. Maybe a fish MPFL. Then we'll have 2 John Coxes. All the Cox on the MPFL next year. Maybe. I'm going to try to twist his arm. To get him over there. But yeah, Bass Pro Tour is going to be interesting to see what they do. And I'm going to end all this talk about, because we went hard in the paint. Zach Burge, I appreciate all the kind words and everybody that listened last week and sent messages or commented about Zach and I's podcast. And I appreciate Zach being open and honest, because I know that's not easy to do. There aren't a lot of guys that will stick their necks out in this sport for a lot of different reasons. And whether it be sponsor, whether it be whatever, and he's one of the brutally honest ones that will actually speak up. And at the end of the day, every pro fisherman is a customer of the league they fish. They all pay to fish. The leagues need them more than they need the leagues, ultimately. That's just true. And I think it's crazy the amount of fear that most anglers have of getting their wrist slapped or getting in trouble. Oh my God, it might cost me getting an article written about me. That means absolutely nothing at the end of the day, because the social media and the things we've seen happen in this industry, man, you don't have to tiptoe around it. If call balls and strikes. Call balls and strikes, like Sam George says. Call balls and strikes. They got to have you. Now, granted, if you leave, there'll be some other dope that just agrees with everything they say that will take your place on any league, because there's so many guys wanting to do it. I understand that, but I appreciate people like Zach Burge so much for freaking speaking up about just dumb stuff, man. They've got a lot of good things going on over there, but then crap like this is just stupid. And then I'm going to leave it on this note, but if you get caught cheating and you're not sorry for it, and you blame your fellow anglers, you're exactly what everybody already knows you are. And that's all I'm going to say. And there were 79 dudes in a meeting that were like, when a certain man got up and spoke, that all left the meeting like, did he just blame us and also say he never cheated, even though it's in black and white? Like, come on, man. Come on. So it's absurd. It is what it is. It is what it is. At this point, nothing's going to happen, and it will ultimately go away. I'm glad that Burge was open and honest, and I'm glad so many of those guys have spoken up over there, and that I have a platform where we can do that, and not be not be ridiculed for it, and send out the info out into the interwebs that needs to be told, just because I feel like it's important to pull back the curtain. We're selling dreams to high school kids and college kids and things like that. And I want them to know that it's not always a fair competition, and it's not. And look, that's not just a Jeff Sprague problem. Talked it last week. That's an entire industry problem that goes on way more than anybody knows. And I hope this is a wake-up call to anybody that's out there sneaking around, sending them texts or calling folks on the phone and trying to get them dots. That it's a wake-up call to them, and maybe it'll slow some of that down. Hopefully so. All right. So the dude we're going to have in studio with us, he's on his way right now, so I'm going to take a quick break before he gets here. But he's one of my all-time favorites. Absolutely. He's been on the show many times. One of the first one of these we ever did, he was on. And this show started. That's why it's always important for me to do an August show with this dude. First of all, he's one of my close friends in life. I consider him like a little brother. Love him and his wife to death. But he is he's a Forest Wood Cup champ. He won the cup the year we started. We were there, the first LBLs. We did this. I talked about this last year, and I'll talk about this every year as long as he agrees to do this with me. And he is I will say former because Forest Wood Cup's gone, Forest Wood Cup champ. He is currently on the Elite Series. He's fighting for his life there right now. And most importantly, he's Cooper's dad with one more on the way. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get him here in just a minute. Justin Atkins. Okay, as promised, here he is, the man, the champ, the myth, the legend, and somebody I'm grateful to call one of my best buds, Justin Atkins. Thanks for doing this again. August, we gotta keep our track record going.
Yeah, it's become an annual August thing.
It has, man. I said that before you came on. I didn't even honestly realize the time frame we were in, and it hit me. I was doing the intro, and I said that this is a podcast for August 8th, which is my anniversary. And I was like, dang, it's August. Yep. Because what was the date on that tournament? I can't remember. Was it mid-August?
I want to say it was 11th through the 13th.
I was going to say, we're right there. Like this week will be 5 daggum years. You spent all that money yet?
Oh, yeah. A long time ago.
That $300,000 went quick, and then Cooper came along and it went even faster.
Yeah,
you're like, hey,
right.
you want a 4-wheeler? What you want, little buddy?
No, that's one thing about it. I did pay a lot of things off,
which is smart.
So that helps. The only thing that I let somebody talk me out of was paying my house off, and I don't know why. It was like they went super deep into like tax stuff and like, you shouldn't do that because you need this credit. And I'm like, 5 years later, I'm still like, I still should have just done that.
I think everybody gives you advice for a situation they've never been in, though, right? You know what I mean? Like, how many buddies you know that just get handed a $300,000 check and can pay off their crap? And,
well, because think about it like this. My house then was $150,000. Now it's like $240 or something. So had I paid it off, I'd have made $100,000 on my investment.
Yeah. So,
and I'm just like, I should have done that.
I think for me,
and let me back up. I haven't had my house appraised.
Oh no, dude!
I'm just gonna take a stab at that.
The place you're sitting right now, what we gave for it 5 years ago, and what it's like. I've had 2 real estate agents in my hometown like, would you guys like to sell? Because this is what you could get for it. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't replace it for that.
That's right.
Like Marissa called me one day. She's like, one of her best friends is a real estate mogul around here. It sells more crap than anybody I know. And she's always working a deal, you know. And she's like, hey, she just called me and said, we could get X for this and Luke. I said, okay, good. Because, you know, I got land. Like, I like to deer hunt here. I'm like, well, where are we going to go?
Yeah.
We're going to build a house somewhere on 30 acres that we own. Like, we got a deal on this when we bought it. Like, that doesn't exist right now. It might come back around, but.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's like you said, you can't replace it for what you're going to sell it for.
For me.
To get apples and apples.
We're all, unless you're just super fortunate, you've won the lottery or whatever, we're all tied down to the banks, and that's just the way the world works. For me, if I could do anything, it would be pay off my house because it's the most expensive thing that I've got. Mm-hmm. And I think
that it's the most important thing you got.
The most important thing. And I think the freedom of being able to go, you know what? I could take a chance on X, Y, or Z if I had that paid off, you know, I think. And that's something that a lot of folks don't ever get to do.
Correct.
But I have heard that you don't want to. Y'all comment. I'm sure you will.
I don't remember what the deal was, why. I don't remember. They were very adamant that I shouldn't do it. It would be better in the long run, yada, yada, whatever. But every month when I dial that number and give them $1,000, I'm like, I wish I just paid that off.
That's how I am with, like, I don't understand people that, I mean, I do understand it, but like paying off cars. Like, it's great. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I still kind of like, even though there's interest, whatever, I like using their money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like on something like, because a vehicle's a necessary evil, I think you're going to be upside down in it. And thanks for tuning in to Low Budget Live, where we're giving you financial advice. These are 2 people you should never take financial advice from, because Justin and I are like this. So, I mean, this is why Brad Knight's this way, another one of our friends. If I see it
and I want it,
I try to figure out a way to get it, even if it might cause World War III with the triple threat, even if Miss Tessa gets mad. Things happen.
Yeah.
Like I am the spender at my house.
There's 3 new Matthews bows hanging up in my shop that
We'll speak to this.
That speak to this.
Yes, it doesn't matter.
Somehow or another, a new one shows up every November. I don't
This
know
is
how it happens.
definitely there's a reason Dave Ramsey doesn't listen to Low Budget Live. He'd be mortified by anything I do in my life. But also, I said this at the first of the show. I'm living my best life right now. Right now, today, I feel like I'm living my best life. Yeah, there are things that drive me crazy, but I have a damn good time.
Yep.
And one of these days, I'm going to clock out.
Yep.
And I'm going to know, you know what? At least I bought that bow I wanted.
Yep.
At least I bought that stupid rod and reel that I shouldn't have bought.
Well, I got the day coming sooner than later that my kid's going to want some things, and it's probably going to cut into some things that I want.
Buddy,
so.
I got 5 of them. I still buy for myself. Screw them. No, we do. That's where we're at right now in life is we do too much for them, and I do too much for Luke. So then I get to looking at the end of the month. I'm like, better tighten up. Better get another sponsor. Better go sell some boat parts.
Yep, I heard that.
Get them kids, because right now we got Harper just finished school, Charlie going into college, Wes is fixing to be driving, Hudson's 15, going to be driving next year, and I'm like, and it's always, and the boys grow so fast. You're seeing that with Cooper already, but dude, wait till they get like 5, 6, 7, and it's like, but we just bought you an entire new wardrobe and shoes. You outgrew those. Hudson wears a bigger shoe than I do. As a freshman in high school, I wear a size 12. He's in a 13, and he went from like an 8 to a 13 quicker than you've ever seen. And, dude, now when you go from little kid shoes to them big boy shoes.
They get expensive.
And he's like, hey, I need them Jordans, Dad.
Yep.
Jordans. I got to get whatever for school. And I'm like, gosh. He went back to school shop. I'll tell a story on him real quick, and then we'll talk fishing because I know y'all are just over this probably. It's real life. Everybody knows real life stuff. He's been working this summer. He's been working for his uncle, and his uncle runs this local oil I can't talk today. Distribution center. And like if you go buy a quart of oil at a convenience store around here, like he probably sold it to him. He sells Startron too. Ding. Got it in there. But Hudson is, 14, and Jason is my ex-brother-in-law, great guy, and he's like, you want a job? You want to work? And Hudson says, yeah. And he said, I know you're a great young man. You're smart. You're gonna go on and do good things, but you need a little sweat equity. And he asked me if it was all right. I said, absolutely. And Hudson has worked like 40 hours a week all summer, unless he had basketball practice, making $10 an hour. He's been saving his money. But we went back to school shopping. I was so proud of him because there were these ridiculous shoes he wanted. And I can remember having these conversations with my mom when we go back to schoot shopping. I'm like, I gotta have them Reebok pumps or whatever it was. Whatever the hot shoe that like Shaq was wearing, I might as well have been Shaq. Little 5'0" white me in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. I'm like, do you see how high Shaq jumps? No, and he's like 8.
You had them, the skates popped out the bottom of.
Dude, that was before my time, but I would have, or after my time, but I would have had them. Listen, I would have had light up shoes. I was that kid. That's my 11-year-old. He's mini Luke. I would have had all. He's had all that. I would have had Rider Man. I would have had all that stuff. But these shoes were way more than I was willing to spend money on. And he pulls out his wallet, looking at me. He says, "You split them with me?" And I said, "No."
You said, no, you can pay for the whole thing.
And he did. He did. But that was like life lesson.
Yeah.
But he worked all summer, and I said, if you want that,
Yeah.
you've worked. And I'm like, buddy, you outgrow shoes so fast, I think it's crazy to spend that kind of money. But, hey, if it's your money. And I thought he'd be like, he'd kind of balk and go, well, I want this. He goes, all right.
Yeah.
Get out his wallet. And you know what? I love that moment in life. Like, hey, do it to it. And we'd spent whatever on clothes and all kind of crap that day. But he's like, and then he went with his mom back to school. And he told me, he's like, got another pair of shoes. I'm like, hey, slow down, homie. Like, save some of that money. But, dude, I think that's, I don't know. That was one of the things we were going to talk about is like the realities of life, the realities of pro fishing and hard work. And, man, like, no matter what line of work, everybody listen to this. Like, no matter where you're at in life, like, life's hard right now for a lot of folks. Like, inflation. So cost of living is crazy right now. And in your world, it's just triple what it has been when you started in 2017.
My expenses have gone up 3 times as much as they were this time last year. It really dawned on me when we were at Pickwick. Stayed at my own house, put the boat in 10 minutes from my house every day, you know. But I would stop and fill up right down the street on the way home or the way to the lake. And start the week, whatever. It was time of month, I had to pay my credit card off, so I paid it off, whatever. We got done at the end of the week. I was like, I just wonder what I spent on fuel. And I looked, and I spent like $2,200 on fuel that week. Dude. And I stayed at my house. I didn't drive nowhere other than during the tournament.
You had to go to Counts, yeah, 4 days.
40 minutes away, 4 days in a row. But still, I spent $2,000 at my house, and I'm like,
let that sink
I ain't
in.
making no dang money like this.
No.
I spent a $5,000 entry fee, spent $2,000 in gas, and I didn't even have to worry about anywhere to stay.
You top 10'd it.
And I top 10'd it.
How much was that check?
I think I got 17 or 18.
Which is a great
yeah.
week's work. But when you look at it, you're like, dang.
Yeah,
I mean, because people are like, damn, you just won $17,000. But then that's got to go to whatever else. Entry fee
so
goes right back to,
right. I turn around and hand it right back. So fast forward, we go to New York. I didn't make any money. I got a $10,000 check for finishing 15th. I'd made this many dollars.
On that trip.
Yeah. I mean, it cost me like $1,500 to get up there and back in the truck. I spent $150 every day in the boat. I mean, there's nowhere close on Ontario. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Because I wanted to fish in Canada, and I can't put in Canada.
You were taking the fight right to the Johnsons. That's what I like. You were just hey, guess who's here? The first pro to ever be from Oakland, Alabama is here.
That's exactly right.
You strutted your ass to Canada.
That's exactly right. So you got to put in America. You ride over there, around, check stuff, all that. I mean, I'm spending $100-something a day. So I spent another $1,000 in the boat. That's $2,500. Somewhere to stay for a week's $3,500. Buy some food for $500. So I say that's nine. I mean, that makes it $9,000 after entry fee. That's going pretty light on it. So $1,000 at best. Now let me back up because Tessa went with me to that.
I was going to say family traveling.
I was going to say Tessa went with me to that because I'm about to have a child. That's the last one she's going to get to go to. So I rented a car for the week, which was $600 for her to have transportation with Cooper, and so I made $400. I get it. The rental car's extra. I get it. I could have done without that, but
this is not you. This is not Justin Atkins bitching about anything. I'm just
being real.
He asked he said, "What do you want to talk about today?" And I said, "Dude, because we talk a ton." And I'm like, I want to talk about with all that's going on with like the opens change and the people like the uproar. I'm like, dude, there are just so many realities to this. And this is what I've commented back to everybody on the opens. Like, well, I'll never be able to do this. I'll never be able to do that. And I'm like, I don't think you realize that if you make it through a single division, what it actually entails when you get there. And that's not making fun. I just
no.
Like, I do think people do not realize.
Well, and that's what like you said, I'm not complaining at all. Like, I love my job.
It's what you get to do. You go fish for a living.
And like I was saying, the rental car's extra, but the rest of that stuff I've got to eat. Yeah, could I eaten a peanut butter and jelly every meal the whole week? Yeah, whatever. But still, I still would have spent $8,500. Sleep in your truck. Okay, I spent $8,000, so I made $2,000
that's interesting.
And that's before I paid any taxes.
Because I know people that cut corners, whether it's fishing, whether it's playing music, and it is funny, like those creature comforts you give up and you think you're saving so much. And then it's like we were talking about camping, going tent camping. Like I took the boys up in August to Wisconsin, or August, we're in August now, back in last part of June or whatever. And dude, by the time I get up there with all the stuff, yes, you do save money, campsites or whatever, but it's like, it's extra, the work going into whatever. You come in from fishing all day, you got to cook over a fire. Like, it was fun, but it's still, it's not like rolling up to a hotel or VRBO and you're just done. Like, you pull in, plug your batteries in, you can rest up, go to bed, get a shower, whatever. And I loved every second of camping, but even that, like, there are dudes that do that. You cut those corners and you look and you're like, well, I'll save $200. And that does matter.
It does matter. $200 is still a lot of money. I'm talking and over the course of the year, you've saved $2,000.
That's right.
But
what'd you give up to do it and that kind of thing? Like, and does those things like sleeping in the truck, camping, does that hurt your performance overall? Like that's because if you're not sharp, you're not on your game, like you miss a fish, you're tired because you've been up swatting mosquitoes all night in the tent. I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I get with it is.
Well, I just feel like overall there's just been this fake pipe dream that's been sold to the world.
I love
it's
it.
like,
Yeah.
oh, you make the Bassmaster Elites or you make the BPT and life
like
is
this.
just good.
Dear Justin, here's a check for $1 million.
You're going to
here you
make
go.
all this sponsor money. They're going to be banging on your door. Your phone ain't going to ring.
The heavens don't open
Let
up.
me let you know. When
Hey,
you make
Mike,
the
from your
Elite,
buddies going,
yeah, your
hey,
buddies
dude,
will call
hell
you.
yeah, great job.
Yeah, ain't nobody else calling you.
No.
You better get to knocking. And yeah, of course, it gives you an accolade, but dude, they're not like, oh, we'd love to be your title sponsor. Here's $100,000. That's not going to happen. And I think that's what so many people think goes on. They're like, Justin gets fished the Elite Series. He makes all this money and just fishes all the time, and life's just easy for Justin. I'm like, yeah, Justin didn't get a check 5 tournaments this year. He's broke. You know, like.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because you've been hooked up with companies like Pure Fishing. That's your title deal. For you, and just to kind of pull back the curtain, I know you count on tournament earnings because you've always been a assassin at getting checks since your first. I mean, hell, you top 10'd your first freaking FLW ever, and then win the cup in the same year. Do you guys count on that though, or are you at a point now? You're 2 years into your Elite Series career. You're 5 years into being a professional, whether it was the tour, BPT, what have you. Is that something though? Like when those checks, like when you have a rough week, is that something you're like you sweat?
So I'm at a point where, like, if I don't cut a check all year, I can still make my house payment, but I don't need to be buying bows. You know what I mean? Like,
Amen.
that's where I'm at in life. But it's like, here's the catch-22 to that. When you're not cutting checks, that mailbox money goes away because they're like, well, he's not getting the advertisement.
There's a direct correlation.
It's direct correlation. There's not ever a safe spot where it's like, okay, well, I'm making no sponsor money. If I catch them, good. If I don't catch them, whatever. Because if you're not catching them, then that money just, because that's. I mean,
unless you got something crazy going on outside of it, which very few guys do.
Shooting a TV show, have an awesome YouTube channel, something like that, where you have something else to offer.
Which costs a lot to do all that too.
It costs a ton. I mean, I talk to Paul and Nick about his all the time, and I mean, I'm like,
and his is fantastic.
Wow.
And to me, just sidebar, it's amazing that he does that. Mm-hmm. I did it for a year on FLW. Nobody wanted to watch my crap because I'm not Brandon Paul on it, but no, actually a lot of y'all watched it and I appreciate it. And Austin Boyd killed it, and it cost me a fraction because I talked to Brandon before I did that. But even the added, like, Kyle always in your face, good, bad, or ugly, like, it's add stress. Like, dude, there were times I'd be like, hey, Austin, I'd be like, turn the camera off. Like, something would happen, something would break on the boats. I'd be like, hey, no, like, we're not sharing this. So for me, I applaud him in the heat.
For performing with that.
My gosh, dude, look at that. Like, he's got to line up camera boats. He's got to line up, and he's got to play to the camera. He just wrecking house. Like, he's something. And I know you and him have gotten to be really close in the last few years. But even his last one, sharing that moment of his daughter being born while he's rushing home, like, that's the reality of this. Like, you're staring down the barrel of your second kid coming, little baby girl Atkins, and 2 events to go, and it's right in baby time.
Yeah, no, we went to the doctor 2 days ago, and he was like, all right, when are we trying to have this? And I was like, not any sooner than we've got to. So essentially the due date is the day after lacrosse finishes.
Okay, so we got, as far as on a calendar,
Cooper came 2 weeks early. So I don't know.
And hey, Coop's a wrecking ball. Yeah. So he started like my boys did. He came in early, came in hot, and Coop's the man. Yep. Coop's the man.
But so anyway, just circling back on the whole sponsor thing, it's like, I don't know. I do. I have great sponsors, and I really hadn't had any issues there as far as, like, saying you got to catch them to continue to get that money and the whole 9 yards. But, like, something happens, I get cut off the Elite Series this year. Like, I'm gonna have some hard talks with some people because I'm sure they're going to want to cut back.
That's what I was going to ask. So, because I know, like, TH Marine, working for them in sales, we've been bought out. a couple times. And listen, I make no buts about. I love working there. It's been, I feel like I'm good at my job, whatever. But I have sold a lot of stuff over the years. Like I got a great track record there. But dude, it is very much a mentality when you get new owners and things change. What have you done for me lately? Like it don't matter your resume.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the world more now than it ever has been. And I feel like in the professional fishing industry, they're like, oh, great, you won the Forest Wood Cup 5 years ago. Awesome. What have you done? I mean, I do. And I wanted to ask you, like, because you are facing.
I'm Bubble Boy. Right?
Yeah, you're Bubble Boy. You're facing an uphill battle. Now, granted, your year started way worse than you wanted it to. You and I talk a ton. I know you've been through it. But then you've got it on the tracks. You top 10 Pickwick, 15th up north, St. Lawrence, which you might as well just move to. It's like your home lake. It amazes me how much you figured it out. But you've jumped like 30 places in the standings in the last 3 events or whatever.
Yeah.
Mathematically, where do you have to be to hang around? Do you know that number in your head? Like, and I know you got to catch whatever you catch everywhere you go. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
But do you have something in your head like where you think
have a chance? I need to move up 12 more spots in 2 tournaments.
12 spots. Yeah. So not as because I thought the first year I thought you were like maybe 40-ish where you had to be in AO. I couldn't remember. I may have been wrong on that.
It's such a move.
It's a moving target?
Long story short, it's such a moving target.
Okay.
So, depends on how many boats we're going to fish. Depends on who quits, who retires, who doesn't take an Opens invite, who doesn't take the Nation invite, whatever. So, all that's always moving.
Okay.
It's such a complex system, and really, I've dreamed my whole life of fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series strictly because I want to fish a classic.
Absolutely.
That's my life goal is to fish in the Bassmasters Classic, period. And honestly, I feel like added stress from just wanting to make that happen has hurt some performance. Like, I mean, dude, I just get tore up about that crap.
Just because you want to roll in and listen with rap music blaring.
Yeah,
that's your whole, that's it.
I just want to
You've said it right here on the show multiple times. That's the only reason that you fish bass.
That's it.
Otherwise, you just like mow grass or something.
Yeah.
Like.
So it's like, crap, lost my train of thought. Anyways, so that's all I want to do my whole
Added
life.
stress from trying to make the classic.
Well, I'm super fortunate to be able to fish the elites, but I just made it at a terrible time with my class because
I agree.
way that everything's kind of worked out, and I get it. You know, Bass was shooting from the hip.
Second time you qualified too. Second time. Yeah.
That's right. If I'd have took it the first time, I'd be golden because I'd have been in that original class
when everything
split and all that. But COVID year happens. They let those guys fish 3 years. Then they had to come back, and they made a huge cut last year. Well, when you do that, the way they do the points is off of an average of where you finish. Well, that class of 19 only had 74 people. Well, they double cut. Well, that makes the average have to be a 50. When you cut 24 from 74, your average is a 50, period. So, just a few of us have kind of gotten stuck in a bad spot here. I get it. Catching them helps. If you catch them, you ain't
going to say, if you're top 10 AOI 2 years in a row, then this conversation
don't even matter.
So,
that's right.
All of our problems can be solved by catching more fish. We always say that.
That's right. Because somebody's going to be like, hey, you should have just called them.
Yeah.
Like, I hear you.
But it's so hard. Your point is, I know, to get to the damn mountaintop is a grueling thing.
That's right.
And I'm just shaking a frog at you, and I don't know why. I'm just like, Bassmaster. Yeah,
anyways.
You're shaking
like I said, this is not like I'm not throwing darts at anybody. No. I'm just talking about
reality. It's reality.
People want to be a professional fisherman.
There you go.
I'm letting you in on what it's like. This is it. So I quit a job to be where I'm at, whole 9 yards, make it on a year that put me really in a bad spot. So I have to have a running average of a 50 to circle back where we're at because that's what it is. Because they cut 24 out of that original class of 74. So that makes it a 50. Well, I fished against 100, and then I fished against 94. So I have to beat half the field twice. Mm-hmm. Beating half the field, you can't have an off year.
No.
And I've had 2
You can't have an off tournament,
That's
really.
right. I mean, I've had 2 off years. I had an off year last year. kind of got it back together, started out.
Almost won the St. Lawrence.
That's right. Almost won the St. Lawrence. And then that's when we left there is when all this really set in. Because I didn't even care. I'm like, whatever. It's the worst year I ever have in my career, blah, blah, blah. Well, then it all sets in that I'm like, hold on, let me start doing this math. Oh, crap. I'm in a big hole because I've got to be an average of 50. Well, I finished 68, so I got to make a 42.
40. Yeah, I think
or a
that's
30,
what we said
no, a
at the first
32, 30. I can't remember, whatever the math.
We went to county school, both of us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He went to Mississippi State, so no.
Well, let's see here. 18 from 50 would be a 32. So, I mean, I've got to finish in the 30s. You know, obviously people are going to have bad years, which will run that back down. But if they're going to keep the cut the same, cutting the same amount, which is 13 every year, to bring in 12 from the Opens, 1 from the Nation, and I'm figuring all this up, I'm like, I got to have like a freaking mid-30s finish this year, which is fine as long as you catch some. You know what I mean? I go to 2 tournaments and don't catch them. Well, shit, like 30s are hard all of a sudden.
And your year
know?
started off, you're like, you called him at St. John's. You're like, all right, we're back. And then you had some rough ones. And I remember you're like, damn, dude, I just don't. And then you had a couple rough opens. But now, how are you feeling, though, on the water? Because, dude, let's just be honest.
I finally got to where I'm just like, I don't even care. It's going to work out. Like,
how it's going to work out.
You know, I know I just said a 4-lettered word. I apologize. My mom might watch this.
Sorry, Mrs. Atkins.
But you know, dude, I just believe God's going to take care of me. Like, He has up to this point.
Yeah,
when I started the tour, dude, I didn't have no money, and I was like,
none. You were in a Z71, son. You didn't
with a screwdriver stuck in the window so it wouldn't fall down. Like, and now
had an old hat like this walking up. You're like, hey, Justin's here, top 10, and I'm like, Justin's here because I met you right before that. We've talked about that on the show a bunch, but I met you right before you started, and I was like, damn, he's confident. Like and Jimmy Mason, who introduced us, said, oh, he's going to catch him, man. And like, I had been around you in ABTs a couple times, but I didn't know you at all, had heard of you. And then you just blaze through the tour like, oh, this is no big deal. Yeah. And then freaking win the cup. And then the next year go back and finish third in the cup, right? And
won an Open that year.
Yeah, won the Open and unfortunately didn't fish the other ones, or you'd have got your classic dream right there.
No, well, I'd fished them all. That was the only year they didn't let you.
Are you kidding me?
That was the only year.
Oh my God, I did not realize that was the technicality on that. You know what, Hank Weldon? You know what? Chris Bose, you text me right now. Text me right. Dang, I forgot that. They did away with it that year. Yeah. Holy crap.
So, not to get too far off of where
I know, but like, dang, dude, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Well, I say all that about
that championship that year.
That's right, the Open Championship.
And I was in second going into the last day of it and caught 1 bass.
And I remember, so the reason I bring up your accolades, though, just to combat anybody that might say, well, you got to catch them better. Dude, you belong, this is what I was going to say. You're talking about God's plan, and you know you'll be taken care of. You always have been, and I believe that. But what I believe about you is you will always catch them to be around this industry. It's not like there are guys, and this is no offense, but there are guys that have been bounced from the elites that should be bounced from Bass Pro Tour, that should be, not fishing toy. Look at me, dude. I fished the FLW Tour 5 years, less than stellar. Shot my shots every now and then, but dude, I don't need to be on the Elite Series. Like that's not a knock on myself, but like I can catch fish. But dude, you are one of the top professionals in the sport. Like I believe that with everything I got. I fished with you a good bit. I know you. I know the work you put in. I know your thought process on it. So that's what I'm saying is like, yes, it sucks that you fell into this situation because you have had 2 off years, but you belong there. And I know you'll be there whether you got to fight to get back through the elites this year and these last, you got 2 more shots to fight, or through the opens. Like I just feel like that's why I want to say all that.
Well, and that's really, I start the year and I'm like, okay, I got to do this. I've got to finish here. And dude, it built and it built and it built. And I got kids at home. I got bills to pay. I got another kid on the way. I get that information about Harris chain as I'm like out there trying to catch a 12-pounder off the bed and I can't get it to bite. And, and like it just starts spiraling. And
hey, I want to circle back. Information that is that his wife was pregnant, not information about a 12-pounder.
Yeah.
There's some things going on every now and then out here right now in this wild world. I just want to say that.
Let me clarify
that real quick. We don't want anybody to edit that the wrong way.
Yeah, I find out that I'm having another child about the time.
That's the most important information.
While I'm having a terrible tournament. But anyways, so things just kind of spiral out of the way, and that's something. Circling back to Brandon, he always talks about it. It's like you can control your mental state. Mm-hmm. And I've sat and talked to him about that, and like I'll complain. I'm like, but dude, this crap shouldn't be this way, blah blah. And he's like, I know, but you can't handle that. That's not something you can control.
Do you I think he's got the best outlook of anybody in the sport.
1,000%.
He does.
And so like
it's his take on life in general. He and I have some. If I ever shared the text message conversations he and I have had over the years about different things, he's just he's an amazing human to talk to about stuff. We're lucky to have him in the industry and sharing himself like through the videos. Circling back to that, but like that's awesome, man. He's like, hey, get out of your damn head, dude.
Yeah,
like,
that's right. That's right. I mean, he's just always straight up with me. He's like, I understand. I hear what you're saying, but you cannot control that. That's not doing you any favors.
You can't control losing a fish necessarily. You can't, a bad break, somebody being on a spot. Like, there's crap you can't control.
And he's just like, you know what? He's like, control what you can control and don't put the blame somewhere else. He's like, there's something you could have done better at some point to get out of this. And I'm like, okay.
And we all kind of get caught up in that.
Yeah.
And everything
in life. Dude.
We
because,
all do.
you get caught up on something that, like I said, that I can't control. I can't control how many people fished in 19. I can't control that they want, like, none of, and you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm getting at. Like, I'm not throwing darts at anybody when I say all this.
Yeah.
They were just shooting from the hip. They had, a complete new field start fishing. They had COVID. We don't even know if we're going to be in business.
That's right.
Bass fishing may come to an end. You know what I'm saying? So, like, don't hear me wrong that I'm throwing darts, because I'm not at all. It just is a set of circumstances that worked out. We've talked about it in meetings, and they're like, yeah, we say it. We're going to get it fixed. I just got to survive this year to get it fixed.
To be one of the guys that gets to hang around and
that gets to,
hopefully wins Angler of the Year next year.
And that's fine and dandy, and that opportunity's still out there. I just need to catch some in the last two.
What do you think for you to feel comfortable, like leaving Oahe? What's that finish got to be for you to feel good going into lacrosse? Going, hey, I can still. If you got to move up like 12 spots or whatever,
doing the math, like 235s will do it. But this is what I was telling Brandon the other day. We're going to have to title this just the Brandon
Polnick effect.
Yeah.
We should call him Brandon. Hey, it's Luke and Justin here on the Luke and Justin podcast.
Anyways, I was talking to him about it, and I'm like, this is truly the mentality that's gotten me in the situation I'm at. Is I'm worried about what have I got to finish to move up 12 spots when I've still got a shot to make the Classic.
Very true.
2 top 10s, and I might still make the Classic. 500 points always makes it. 2 top 10s will give me like 488. So you get a couple double qualifiers, I could still...
You could get there.
Still make it. So I've got to quit worrying about petty crap. That's the whole...
And ultimately, you're going to catch what you're going to catch, and it's going to fall wherever. Like dudes that go, well, I just need to go catch 15 pounds a day. Well, dude, you're going to catch whatever you catch.
You're going to go catch the most you can catch every day. Nobody ever thinks they can catch 24, but they go fish for 12. Yeah. Nobody.
That's right. That's
like,
exactly
you're
right.
So that's what I'm getting at. Like, I just need to focus on just catching the most I can catch. It's going to work out. It's going to be fine. And that's really where I got to it. Like, at Fork, I was worried about trying to just catch them. I was going to try to catch a big bag. It's going to get one out deep. I got to fish out deep. There's 9-footers out here because it blew 6,000 miles an hour.
Every day.
And I'm just out there trying to fish brush and 9-footers, and I'm not catching crap. Where I should have just went to the bank and threw a spook down the bank.
Just wind it around. Just
throw a swim bait around. Like, it was so easy, but that's when I realized, I'm like, you're making it too dang hard because you're so caught up.
I remember talking to you before Fork, and you had a theory on like something you had learned this spring with forward facing with Active Target, and you're like, man, I think this will be the deal. And you were telling me all this, and we all do that where you're going to a place and you're like, you know what? I think I got one. You and I at Smith Lake in the Open, which you called them, but you and I put in some prep work last year, and we're like, oh, we got y'all. Yeah. You know, you were telling me about something you were going to do. I was like, oh, well, you ain't going to outwork me. So I went down there thinking, this is how you win. This is how you go to the Classic. You go put in the work, and guess what? I finished like 80th. All right?
And I didn't catch a bass off a single thing.
Neither did I. Not one freaking, but that being said, we all have those things going into tournaments, and that's the same with Fork. And most of the time, you and I at Cherokee this year in the Bass Open, oh my Lord, they caught them better than they've ever caught them anywhere. And you and I every day in practice like, damn, dude, it's hard out here on a man, ain't it? And then all of a sudden we got in that night, and we're like, it's easy.
They just went down the bank.
Guess what? It's easy. Yeah. And you and I
were
were
out there
we're grabbing. Oh, look, I got one. Yeah, I caught this one live scope. Yeah, look at this. Doing this, doing that. And they're just like this.
I had to go find a rock in 32, and I dropped and caught one small.
Now, Cooper caught him. He won doing
did.
that. I'll give him that. But most of them were just like this. I pull up on John Cannon, finish second. He throwing a spinnerbait, smoking a cigarette, going down the bank. Just flipping in 3 pounds. He's like, hey, Duncan, oh, he biting this spinnerbait. I'm like, oh, really? It's just that easy? And I watched him catch like 10. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm glad I've been out here dragging a Ned head in 42 feet of water all week like an idiot.
It was definitely that easy.
But that's what but your Fork is a prime example of that too. Like, right. Dude, they're biting, but you're so convinced. That's the hardest thing about this sport at that level is this, I'm going to get away from them. I'm going to go do this. Yeah. I'm going to do that. And we all have, because you're thinking, dude, I got to hit nothing but grand slams the rest of the year.
Correct.
When ultimately, a top 40 there.
To put the ball in play.
Top 40 there, and this whole conversation is different right now.
Oh, yeah. Top 40 there, and I'm only like 30 points out of the Classic.
And then you go to Pickwick and top 10, then you 15th St. Lawrence River, and it's like,
that's right.
Dang it, dude. Well, are you with Oahe? You've never been there. You didn't get to pre-fish because life's just crazy, and it's halfway across the world from where we live. What do you think about that? I mean, are you nervous about that event? Do you feel like you got a game plan of you've studied it enough, like from the elites being there before, like, hey, this is what I'm going to go do?
Well, and it's totally different than when they were there last time. They were there in June. I think the fish were like super postponed.
Okay.
Like super postponed.
So could it be better then weight-wise than it was there?
I think it's going to be a lot better this trip. The lake's down like 25 foot. That's awesome because that just hems them up. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know. I think we're going to catch them. I think it's going to be good. I like smallmouth. I don't know. I just get around them for some reason.
Yeah. Always. You always have.
So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see water clarity, what kind of wind we're going to have that week.
Because that's a factor.
That's a big factor out there. The only thing I'm hoping was last time everybody talked about, the guys that still fish the elites that have been out there. Let me clarify. I've been talking to random people.
He ain't been sending no ticks, son. Ain't no ticks.
They talked about the wind blowing and how it would just make mud lines everywhere. Hackney was telling me that he thought he was going to catch like 20 pounds a day on the bank, and then it just got crazy muddy on all the banks. One thing I'm hoping with the lake, 25-foot low, maybe it's a little more protected from that wind. A little
more turns in because that's what they say.
There's a lot of higher banks because in that show you can see it looks like they're 2 foot from it just running out.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
It looks like somebody's cows are going to be in the water if it got any higher. So I'm hoping that maybe that will fix some of the muddiness.
You know what's crazy about that event? I looked at this for whatever reason around Father's Day. I had Brandon on the Brandon Balnick show, and we were talking AOY, and I looked up, and it was crazy. Out of the top 20 in that event, this was a wild stat to me because it hasn't been this way at a lot of events that I've looked at from the past. But like 18 of the 20 now fish PPT that were top 20 at that event. And so my point to Brandon was,
there's a lot of people who have never seen that.
And Brandon was like 20th in that event. And I was like, well, bro, if it's tight between you and John headed into Hawaii, obviously John's a fantastic angler, but I'm like, bro, you've been there, done that, know what they do there kind of deal. And he was like, well, don't take these guys for granted because this is something I want to get to. They're incredible, and they're going to figure it out regardless of who's who and where's where, who's where. But and then John is still not really within striking distance, I don't think, unless Brandon just...
Well, Mullins is actually between...
Oh, that's right. Sorry, Dave. Dave, who texted me the second he saw that I got a picture with Ric Flair, he was blowing me up. He was so excited. It made me laugh. I hadn't talked to him in a while, and he's like, "You're serious right now? This just happened in your life?"
Yep.
Woo, baby.
So anyways, yeah, Mullins is between them two. And
Dang
Mullins would have been there last time. So both
That's
of them
right.
have
I got
previous
experience.
there.
Sorry, Mullen. Sorry to. I'm just. There's too many tournaments going on. I can't keep up with all of them on this show. So that's awesome. And Mullins has been right there in the last couple of years. Dave's on a different level right now.
He's caught them everywhere he goes here lately, and that's awesome.
And he's due for a freaking win so much.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if it happens like somewhere like lacrosse? Because that's the most anti-David Mullins kind of place I would ever. Because he's an offshore.
Yeah.
Like that's his deal. I mean, he can catch them doing whatever, but like for me, Mullins is in
loves
East
getting off the
Tennessee,
bank,
yes.
yeah.
And so I hope he wins like lacrosse flipping. Like if you don't win, I hope Mullins is like frogging and flipping, and they're like, "Oh, David Mullins flipping king."
Yep.
Like I hope that's the case, but he can certainly do whatever to be in contention for AOY. You've got to catch them a million different ways all year long, but. Congrats to David. Thanks to Bassmaster analyst Justin Atkins straightening me out on the points. This is why you shouldn't listen to half the crap I say because no research goes into any of this. So let's talk just for folks at home, worst case scenario for you. So you don't say you average, you think you need a 35th, say you average 40th. You get 2 checks at the end of the year, but they call and they say, "Justin, we're sorry.
Yep.
This is the list. You're the first dude out." Obviously, this 9 open deal for you, that's a lot of tournaments, but you feel like it gives you a better chance to requalify.
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. We're going to kick the top right back off this anthill.
Here, pour some fire shower on it. Yeah. This is fire shower. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I would, just because it circles back to I just want to fish a classic, period. Obviously I'm not going to put my kids in jeopardy of eating a meal to do it, but like that's been the goal.
Cooper can come live here anytime. You know that. He's my boy. Cooper and I'll have some Cocoa Pebbles. You go do what you want to do.
There you go. That's been the goal since day one. And honestly, I don't remember. It's been a month ago now, or it was right before the St. Lawrence. Actually, the night before it started, I made a Facebook post that just said, "I'm not sure when the Opens became the working man's tournament trail."
Any professional trail.
And if you think all I ever sacrificed was 3 weeks of work to be where I'm at, then you're mistaken. And it literally started a bonfire on Facebook.
Always.
I mean, like, holy smokes. But, I mean that, and I'll say it here today. Like, if you think all I gave up was 3 weeks of stacking lumber to be here where I'm at, then, like,
Not the case.
Not even kind of the case. And, but I just feel like fishing 9 gives you the guy that's well-rounded. And that was a comment that I saw in there. They're like, "Well, you're going to have to fish some places that you don't know or you're not very good at." And I'm like,
What?
What are you going to do when you got to pay $5,000 to go
And then
fish
go to
somewhere
Hawaii?
You're going to pay $5,000 and go to Hawaii.
You're from South Alabama, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to North Dakota. Come on, bud. It's going to be fun." You're like, "Well, hey, I ain't never been there. Can I take a drop for this tournament?" Like, that's not how
that's
the
what
world
I'm
works.
getting at. And I'm like, you better know how to shoot from the hip before you're going to go spend $70,000. Like, unless you just got it like that. If you got it, then whatever. That's
But
good.
by the comments, and this is just in general, they don't have it, right? And that's not talking crap.
No.
None of us have it.
That's
That's
right.
the thing is,
The guy that's got it like that, dude, is 1 in 10,000.
yeah. And so I saw people being, so-and-so, whoever, insert name here, but Paul, wonder what he thinks about this. He would have never been able to do this. I'm like, bet.
He
would
made
have
it through
done
the
it.
nation.
Yeah, so I was saying he would have done whatever he had to do
But that's right.
to
But
get there.
That's what I was going to say. Brandon made it through the nation, but he slept in his truck. He still sleeps in his truck some.
So the funniest backlash that I got, I had a guy, and I'm not sure that he's a fan anymore or ever was. I've never seen this guy comment, as a matter of fact, but he's like, "You're wrong about your take on these opens because I am that working man sleeping in my truck, but I can only fish 3 divisions, but I have the sponsors that will pay for this when this happens for me, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Hey, man, I'm really sorry that you feel that way." And I forget the whole comment, but I something along the lines of, "I don't think you realize, even you typing this, But then this is the kind of petty human being I am sometimes when I'm going down the road and things like this happen. So that's all I want to say. And I ain't trying to throw shade, but I looked this gentleman up. This gentleman just clicked his YouTube. This gentleman had a YouTube channel, about 80 followers, what have you, and he was doing recaps from his club tournament, wearing a jersey, not making fun of that, whatever. I looked him up on Bass. He had never, ever fished one Bassmaster Open. Not one.
Yeah.
His name does not compute, was not there, and he blasted me. Mm-hmm. And so that gave me a look into that most of the people that are blasting bass, that are
have never fished a single open.
And have zero plan to.
I know.
They just tell people they're pro fishermen. I know. And this whole and the funniest thing was one of the thumbnails on one of the videos, and I'm going to leave this, is he was wearing a jersey that had MLF on it. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, Luke Duncan, I'm going to burn your house down. You crushed my dreams along with Hank Weldon and Chris Bowes and all those rascals. Yeah. Mark Zona. I hate Mark Zona. Whatever. Ronnie Moore.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's your fault, Ronnie Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, saltwater Ronnie, get out of here. Like, what?
It's just like, I get it. People fish.
There are exceptions to the rule. There are people that have made it through 3 divisions that are still tournaments that are still there.
They're still doing it. That I get it.
Still shaking a frog at you.
They are few and far between. When it's all said and done, though, every one of those that made it in 3 could have made it in 9. They could have fished. They got the time.
Secure it. Jay, like people are like, well, he could have qualified through 1 division. That's been their argument since the podcast. And I'm like, yeah, but dude, he could have made it anywhere. This kid won out of the back of the boat.
His daddy's the greatest walleye fisherman of all time. Next to Corey Springle. Because Corey's...
Shout out Corey.
Yeah, Corey's...
And Mark Courts. We like Mark Courts. Shout out, we love you, Courts. I mean, you need to tighten up a little bit, Courts, but...
They're pure fishing homies, so they're 1 and 2. And then Jason.
Actually, I don't know. I just like walleye. They're delicious.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I see pictures, Jason's always holding up the biggest one out of the 3, so. I'm just kidding, guys. But anyways.
He's not, Courts. You suck.
But anyways, it's like, they would have made it in 3, you know. And, I mean, guys 5 years ago that made it, they fish all the BFLs. They fish a division of opens. They fish all the Alabama bass trails. I'm like, you know, you cut some of this other out, you can fish 9 opens. Like, you take off 9 weeks a year anyways.
We've talked about that from some guys we've seen griping. Like, dude, I know what they fish against us around here. And I'm like, they take off work 2 and 3 days at a time to practice for 1-day events. And I'm going, well, all that time combined, it'd be pretty easy to fish 9 opens if you really just sit down and look at it. If you've got the time to fish 2 divisions of Alabama Bass Trail, every BFL, every Tuesday night or Wednesday night or whatever.
Yeah,
like, dude, you got time. And
what it all boils down to, dude, is if you want something, you can have it. Because this is my final end-all, be-all. This is what I wanted to tell everybody. I finally had to just go to bed because I had small time to catch, and I couldn't argue with them because they were making my head hurt.
But you wanted to be like...
Exactly. The end-all, be-all is... There is multiple people fishing the Elite Series that left the country they live in and come over here and make it work.
Take the Japanese guys out of it. Think about Carl.
Carl.
He never even seen a bass.
Yeah.
Ever. Or an American bass mate. He'd never seen one. I talked to him at ICAST, and I was like, do you realize? Because we did the Boats and Pros, and he told me part of his story that I'd never heard when we were filming with him. And I was just like, I know my eyes have to be this big on the video. Go back and watch that if you hadn't, because it's an incredible story. But I'm like, bro, you had never seen the damn fish that you try to catch.
That you left.
You left your family and came here, another, not even country, continent. He left another continent. Yeah. That's a 20-something hour plane. They got kangaroos that'll punch you in the teeth where he lives.
And you have to fight them to get off your dog.
And the dang snakes just to get to the airport.
Yeah.
And here he is.
I know.
That's what I'm doing. He won a freaking Elite. Like, what's your excuse?
That's why I couldn't be upset about Taku winning last year. I'm like, this dude's got a kid he has never even seen. And he lives over here.
And he's never caught a smallmouth.
Yeah, and he never caught a smallmouth.
He's like, oh, smallmouth Disneyland. I love smallmouth. Oh, this is easy. Like,
you know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, But you want to tell me that you can't find another way of life to figure out how to make it work? Like, cut grass. Everybody's a fishing guide.
I brought up Latimer.
Go work on a deadgum barge for 6 months out of the year and save your money. I don't know.
Yeah.
But do something.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you can't do it.
Latimer had his own lawn care business. And I remember when he first started fishing the tour, wasn't getting a lot of checks. He made it through the Costas then. But I remember, like, his first couple of years were just, he started when I did, and they were bad. Like, they were bad. And he was like, man, I'm going home, go to work. Throw some mulch down, going to do whatever. And, dude, and then he started his YouTube stuff. And I'm like, if he didn't have a silver spoon, he didn't have, like, what's your excuse if you grew up in the South loving bass fishing since you were 5 years old and it is your dream, then a change in rules didn't stop your dream. You're stopping your dream. And this is a convenient excuse for you to be able to not go and have a chance at failure. That's my point, because there's so many people online that are just like,
well, the big argument that I kept saying was like, how am I supposed to make it in my mid-40s with a middle-class job raising 3 kids? And I'm like, you're not.
You're not.
You're
no
not.
offense, but you're not.
Yeah, like that was something that should have happened. Like, that's the part that really pisses me off is I'm like, I gave up a ton of crap. I didn't play baseball in high school. I didn't go to, like, dude, I left prom and drove to a BFL one time, like, and was going to skip it.
How did prom go? Did prom go okay?
I don't remember because I was too worried about what I was going to throw.
Tying them knots.
Yeah, I was worried about what I was going to throw the next morning. Like, I didn't go to my graduation to fish a tournament. Like, I gave up so much crap in my life to be here, but every step was always trying to figure out how to get to the next one. Mm-hmm. Every job I ever worked, every fishing tournament I ever fished,
there wasn't that chance of, oh, well, if fishing works out. It was always when fishing works out.
Yeah, like if you don't have a plan B, your sole focus is on A. Like, so it was always, how do I get to the next point? And so it kind of like gets on my nerves when people come back and they're like, well, I'm in the middle of my life and I want to be a professional fisherman. You ain't calling Major League Baseball pissed off that they're not at your Sunday afternoon.
I use it for like a music thing, music reference. I love to write. I love to play. I did it when I was in my 20s. It never worked out to the extent that I wanted to, but I, had a great time, successful, got people to know my songs. It's the coolest thing in the world to me, right? But you can't, like, I play country music. You think I'm going to roll up to Nashville with this dad bod and these songs be like, hey, 39, y'all ready?
Yeah.
Put me on some Luke Bryan jeans, get me out there, dance me around on stage. Like, Chris Stapleton's like an anomaly that happened to him when he was almost 40.
And that was my next point I'm going to make. Yeah, I get it. There, you can go back through time and pick some guys that were probably in their 40s. Greg Hackney was 20-something when he started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kevin Van Dam was in his 20s. That's the next thing I saw. And it was from a dude that absolutely drives me nuts, and he is a Silver Spoon dude, and his kid's going to be one, and that's fine and dandy. But
Lucky Sperm Club came out.
he got on there and was like, "This has just become a guy that's got a rich daddy sport," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's literally who you are."
We're calling full time out here.
And literally, don't hear me wrong when I say this. He's the only person I'd ever say that about because he drives me nuts about that kind of thing because he acts like he don't have a gajillion dollars because his daddy owns a gigantic construction company, but whatever. And he wants to talk about how he's got it rough while he never goes to work, but whatever. Anyways, he got on my post and made the comment that this has become this is a college kid that's got a rich daddy sport now. And I'm like,
that ain't Justin Atkins.
I mean,
the Justin Atkins story.
I stacked a crap load of lumber to be able to pay for. My dad's never paid for my entry fees. Maybe in a team tournament we fished together and I bought the boat gas, but like BFLs, Everstarts, Opens, Elites, Tours, my dad's never paid for.
Shout out Phil.
Yeah, and that's not a.
Should we answer on the air?
No, we should not.
Come on, let's do it. Let's answer on the air. Tell her you're on the air.
Hello.
Tessa Atkins calling in, ladies and gentlemen. Tessa Atkins.
I just wanted you to know that you're. Oh, she hung up.
Did she?
She said, I am not being involved in controversial low-budget live.
Is that what she said?
No, she just hung up. So, anyways.
We promised Tessa no controversy.
I know. That's probably why she called, because I was about to get controversial. Because the more I thought about that comment that this old boy made, the madder it made me. I need to just block him on Facebook.
The doghouse. You were headed to the doghouse.
But anyways, what drives me nuts is it's like they want to talk about this just a young man sport. All these old dudes were young at one time when they started. Like, they weren't always 50. Kevin Van Dam hadn't always been 50 years old.
Mark Davis was young once.
Yeah, Mark Davis was young. Like, when he won back-to-back years, he was, what, in his early 30s? Yeah. Like, give me a freaking break. It's so easy.
Other than David Fritz. I think David Fritz has always been old, baby. He seemed like he was old when I was a kid. We was kicking everybody's ass.
He was, but he's still been doing it for 20 years.
Damn right. That's true.
Before then. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like...
Larry Nixon started at like 19 years old. Like, Larry's the GOAT, but like he's still doing it, but he didn't just qualify 3 years ago.
That's literally my whole point to this is like, I haven't read anything where I'm like, okay, that's a valid argument to this.
Yeah.
It's always been a young man sport. It has always been. When you make it, it has always been.
Well, I'll tell you what, from a 39-year-old's perspective now, and I fished the Opens when I was 19, and I fished a lot of crap over the years. And the level of competition now from just the sub 30-year-old dudes it's intimidating, because it's just a nonstop. They gonna outwork you.
Yeah, that's right.
They're going down, do their homework. They're gonna know the electronics better than you. And I know my electronics fairly well, but it's like, like you tell me stuff all the time. I'm like, what? Like, you don't even have Garmin's, and you're like, oh, did you know that you can like draw pictures on it or what? I'm like, what? Yeah, I did. Hashtag Garmin Fish Hunt. I knew that. Sponsored. Whatever. But like, it's amazing to me, like the stuff that my eyes get open the more I get around you guys. And I'm like, and I think it hit me hardest when you first started fishing the tour. And it's probably like 2018 when you and I got to be pretty close. We talked during practice. I'm like, dude, these guys, and it was you, Cobb, and LaHue rooming together. Mm-hmm. And we'd be talking. I'd be talking to them too. And it's like, whoa. These boys are playing a different game, man. Like, they just are. And I think that, and look, I don't want to discourage anybody. Like, I think if you're 58 years old and you finally got your life right and you want to roll out there.
Go do it. That's fine. Like, that's not the point.
I'll say this, though. MPFL being a big entry fee, big payout, 6 tournaments, spaced out. Like, if you're a, quote, working dude and you want to fish a professional level event.
That's it.
Pro circuit, same deal. Yeah. Go fish that.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's not.
But understand, they're hard too.
Yeah,
it's a young man's game there
away
too.
From that, and that's what I'm getting at. Like, I'm not taking shots at anybody.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, that was just an argument that was all over my Facebook post. Is like, I'm 45 and I've got kids in college and I can't fish the Elite Series.
Damn
it's
you,
like,
Ronnie Moore.
Yeah, like, I know you've never been able to.
That's exactly right.
Like, and I'm not.
And life's all about choices, decisions, or circumstances.
That's
And it can go, the ball can bounce either way, whether it's good luck, bad luck. We all have runs of it.
That's right.
A lot of the time. I mean, you're talking to a dude that struck a $10,000 check for a freaking truck that blew up out of warranty this week. You know, I'm fortunate. I am living my best life, but that sucked on a lot of levels. But that's everything in life. Like, look, straight up, my music stuff was going well. And right in the middle of that, probably because the music stuff was going well, maybe some other stuff, I went through the most horrible divorce of anybody I know. But like, dude, and it stopped that for me. Yeah. A lot of people are like, oh, did you just quit playing? I'm like, no, I didn't, because I was in a situation where I could be gone and do what I was doing, and my kids were with their mom, to a situation where I was splitting time with my ex-wife with my kids, and being gone all the time
didn't
pan out for a couple years before Marissa and I got together, right? And now, look, Marissa's, I mean, like, we're a family, like, that I could do it again if I got ready to, but now I'm almost 40 years old, and you look around, and it's the same with fishing tournaments, man. When I would go weeks at a time fishing FLW, 6 weeks, and we'd go pre-fish, we'd do whatever, and then I got travel for TH. Like, a lot of my decisions have been based on my life, and I have 5 children I'm responsible for now. I have a wife that busts her ass at her job, but at the same time, she don't like being home by herself for 3 weeks. It's hard.
Yeah.
We've all lived it.
And
But that's what it comes down to. I could be stubborn and selfish and go, yeah, I'm going to fish all 9 opens and I'm going to make the elites, and because this is what I want. But at the same time, like, I've got so many other things going on.
Yeah.
I'm not putting their crap in jeopardy for me to go chase all 9 opens. And that's just my decision.
Yeah.
Because then, here's the thing, the reality. Hey, Luke, this is Chris Bowes. You made it. I don't know what I would do then, because then it's a whole nother level of Thunderdome where you know what you're heading into and you see what all my peers go through that I know that, and I'm like, I don't want any part of it.
Well, and that's the thing is, like we said, I know there's guys that's made it in 3 and all that.
A lot of them
But
have been
that
bounced too.
But that was always just a deal of like, I can get my feet a little wet and say, I'm trying to make the Elite Series.
Yeah. No, you know what it is more than that?
What's that?
Cut you off. This is what it is. It's the same with Major League Fishing. Once Major League Fishing bought out FLW, and it was the same when it was FLW too. I'll take it even further back. How many guys do you see that are just regular Joe bass fishermen? And there's nothing wrong with that at all. No. At all.
I am one.
I am too, yeah. But I'm not even talking about like a competition level, just what they fish. But they're like, got an FLW this weekend because they fish a BFL. Mm-hmm. Got that Major League, got that MLF coming up. Like, no, you're fishing a bass fishing league tournament, or you got a Toyota series. But you see that it's the same with the opens. It is. Yeah, I got that Bassmaster coming up. I think people pay their entry fee so they can tell the people in their hometown, hey man, they wrap their own trucks, they wrap their own boats. Like, yeah, I fished the Bassmaster. And when you say that broad term Bassmaster, they don't know the difference. Your average guy don't know the difference in you or Billy Joe that fished 3 Southerns one time. Like, and I think that's a lot of it. And look,
and
if that's what you want to spend your money on,
if that's what you want, then that's all fine.
Then great.
And
if that makes you warm and tingly inside, all right.
Yeah, that's fine and dandy. But like when Jordan Lee made the elites, he fished all the opens. You know what I mean? And I think
Jason Christie fished all of them while he was fishing BPT. Some other guy I know did too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's right. So
Ryan
it's
New
like,
fished all of them.
I just don't want to hear that's what, because when it's all said and done, it is way easier to make it in 9 tournaments and
cost
be
you a little more money, a little more
top
time.
9 than it is to be in the top 3 in 3. I'm sorry, that's freaking hard. Like, that's as hard as it gets. And because you're going to have somewhere between 70 and 100 guys that can fish all of them. So you got to beat 1 in 10. I
like
get it.
those odds.
That's way better than being 3 out of 225.
And you got to think, if you get bounced.
So anybody, my point is, anybody that truly, like, that's what they want to do ought to be excited about that, because your odds are so much better making it. Do whatever you got to do. You ain't got a family, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I saw that comment. It's like, I don't have a family for wanting to chase this dream, and I make $150,000 a year, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're perfect.
You're set.
Work for 3 years, save every dime you can, and then
I've seen a lot of that.
Go fish, because you're probably going to make it.
I've seen a lot of guys reach out to me and go, hey, man, love the podcast on the opens, and all I know is this has changed my perspective, and I'm going to save up for the next couple of years.
Like,
and
anything like that's worth working.
And some of them said, and I'm going to dabble in a single division to see how I stack up. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is not what I need to be doing, but right now that's my goal, and I saw some of that.
I don't know. Anyways, we could literally just
we could talk
stomp
about
on that anthill for hours, and it's like I'm not stepping on anybody's dream.
99% of the people understand.
Yeah,
but then you've got. It's always that 1% that make the most noise, I think, in every situation.
Well, like I said, just at the end of the day, I think I got so frustrated about that because I see all these excuses, but I literally go out there and live it every day with guys that haven't seen their family in months. Taku's out there FaceTiming with his wife who's putting their kids to bed right before we blast off. He ain't seen them in months. You know, I mean, Carl ain't seen his family since before COVID. He just lives over here. You know what I mean? And I get it, he's got a family here, but I know you want to get disconnected, but he still has folks in Australia he'd like to see from time to time, but he don't see them. And so I'm like, I don't want to hear your crap about you can't make this happen. You can make it if you want it. in America,
you got the talent.
You can make it happen.
You got the talent. You got the work ethic. You got like.
That's what I was gonna say. Even the talent's not even everything. I think work ethic's huge.
Dude, I'll throw one out there, and then I got something I wanna ask you too. But like our buddy, we've known him for a long time. But like Darian, and don't talk about Darian as much on the show. He's out of fishing, but this kid grew up in one of the worst situations. Like, it's incredible. Mm-hmm. Every excuse in the world to just be a screw up, whatever. Like, I won't get into all his details, but like, he's now running his own business
and doing awesome work
and killing it. And it's like, he's the one guy. The first time I ever met him, like, and he's telling me a story. I'm like, damn, how are you not? But it drove him the opposite way. His brother runs a successful business too. They're both in their 20s, and his brother's got a deal going. And like, they both came out of this environment where they could have just said screw it and done whatever. But like, you can do it if you want to do it. And it's the bottom line. If you got the talent to do it, whatever the case is.
And that's what, and I mean, like, I won't even. You don't have to be a superstar. No, you can stand out in your yard and learn how to cast good. You know what I mean? Like, you just put the time in and have the want to. You can make it happen. But when you get there, just know you got to work that much harder.
That leads me to what I want to kind of close with today, because all this craziness going on, we've had like this cheating scandal, whatever. And I told you before, and Sam George actually called me with this, and this made this jump out to me, and I started paying attention. I was like, holy crap. The comments, like especially on like the Wired to Fish thing, when that press release went out, and the comments on my YouTube stuff, the overwhelming theme is, oh, all these pros cheat. These pros are not actual good fishermen. They just call all the locals all the time and get help, and they've got nicer stuff than I have. So they're just, it's just all smoke and mirrors. Please speak to how good, because you fished it all. You're one of the only people I know, there are like 6 of y'all that I'm friends with that have fished FLW Tour, BPT, and the Elites. Yeah. Speak to the difficulty and how good these guys are that you compete against on a daily basis.
It wouldn't matter what you put them in. They're going to. Seth Fighter could leave out in a Monarch. It doesn't matter with a tiller steer. It doesn't matter. He would
doing
still
this, driving one hand with a tiller,
like this,
rubbing that mustache, knowing he finna put a jig on one tail.
Right. Yeah. Like, on him, he's gonna go catch some. And like,
talk about a dude that didn't make excuses. And like, bro, what's your excuse? Like, he worked his way from the Federation to like all the way up.
I know. Run a pressure washer in between,
and still does.
And still does. That's what I'm getting. Like,
right? Yeah, I don't want to go back down that road, but dude, these guys are.
So, what I was gonna say is like, zero disrespect to anybody I fished against in the past, but like, these dudes I'm with right now catch them as good as anybody I've ever fished against, and like, guys that came from the BPT with me over here are like, yeah, it's pretty freaking incredible. I know you've never heard of some of these guys. They freaking catch them, dude. They catch them every day. I don't know. It's freaking mind-boggling.
Well, I said after the split, and it's the same with MPFL, who I work for. And people are like, well, I don't know these guys, so I don't want to watch. I'm like, well, you might want to pay attention because they freaking catch them. Hell, like, it's fun. Like, they figure it out.
This was a comment I loved the other day. We was at a writers' conference, and a guy said, oh, this new class isn't as good as the old class because they only catch 4.62 bass per day versus the old class that caught 4.68 bass. So they're not as good. And I'm like, hey, bud, we go to the same freaking places every year that are now blowed up destination fisheries that suck. I don't know if you know this. Fair. Lake Chickamauga sucks. It's the worst place to bass fish in America.
Lake Chickamauga's
yeah, it's not good. Like, it was good 15
Our
years
home
ago.
lake down here, Pickwick, dude, it's not good.
Pickwick's nothing like it was 7 years ago.
Nothing.
They suck because we go to them all the time, and we have all these high school tournaments.
You expose all those spots.
All these college tournaments. Everybody knows the spots. Bass just naturally want to get on the same places. So my point to that being is that class was part of the group that was ruining these holes. Now this class is catching 0.06 less bass on places when they ain't no freaking good. You know what I mean? I'm like, to me, it sounds like they're way better. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's incredible.
Can you imagine
These
like
guys,
the first time those guys had a virgin Pickwick?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With like nobody having
that's
prior anything
That's right.
much, or I remember the Gunnersville tournaments from like the
Yeah,
early
like they went-
2000s,
I was
like
gonna say-
22 pounds is like 70th or whatever. Like they're just
that's
wreck
right.
them.
I know.
And
the
nobody knew how to fish Gunnersville then. Like the locals didn't
I
even
know.
know.
The
Like,
problem is now you go over and you get 7 bites a day, but guess what? Still
They're
going to take
big.
19 to get a check.
and it's the same with Pickwick with Lester winning.
Yeah.
Like the weights are great, but dude, guys aren't catching 100 fish a day like
That's right.
like in the summer used to happen.
So, yeah, no, I mean, that's the whole point. Like, they catch them. It's incredible. They catch them every day.
Who's a name that might surprise fans? And this is putting you on the spot because you'll surely leave somebody out. But who's a name that might be under the radar in the elites, even a rookie or somebody that you may have not have known? I guess, and you know a lot of guys. You're a social butterfly, but like in the last 2 years, somebody that you're like, damn it. Does a name jump out to you that's like? And I mean, like the obvious ones are like Taku and whatever, but do you have
Yeah.
somebody that you're like, holy crap?
Well, and see, Jay winning, I knew that there was going to be special things come out of him just because.
And he's
I'm
not
because
he's not
I've known
done
his
yet
daddy.
this year, by the way.
No, heck no.
These two, he's been to Hawaii before.
Yeah, I knew just from knowing his daddy, I knew that kid was going to be special. I mean, dude, I don't know. They're all so freaking good. I'm cheating right now. I'm going down through this
I saw
list.
you pulling up Bassmaster.com. Shout out Chris Mitchell. He's got it updated for us today.
If I had to pick one guy that I really felt like, but that's so hard, dude, because I can't even pick a Cody Huff. Everybody knows Cody Huff.
Yeah, that one's not
know
fair because
what
he
I
was a
mean?
beast before he got there.
He
was on everybody's
but I
radar,
feel
should have
like,
been.
But that's what I feel like all these guys are because I have so much history with them. That
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know too
I
many.
know too many of them because none of them surprise me. When they catch them or they don't catch them. I don't know, buddy. You put me on a hard one there because
I think a guy like a Bob Downey, some of these guys
But
like.
that's- but I mean, he's
that's
top
what
10,
that's,
like
that's what
12
I'm
of them in the
saying.
last
But
2
that's what,
years.
but he's a quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he's quiet, under the radar kind of guy.
I mean, he may not be on every cover, but
he smashes
them,
he
yeah.
catches them. To
To
me, I think the biggest surprise in the last few years from the elites, and this is not a knock on him in the least. It's me bragging on. He's like Lee, just winning a couple, 3 freaking events now. He's got, because you think about him 3 years ago, nobody wasn't a household name.
And I mean, honestly, I'm gonna have a hard time picking somebody because I feel like that's putting them in a category of not being known.
No.
And I feel like everybody that's there deserves. And I know that's
with
not.
you.
I know
that's not the
what you were
question.
getting
No,
at.
I just think that it's interesting for people kind of pulling back the curtain, the behind the scenes of,
Yeah.
hey, this is a dude you should pay more attention to. Well, I think even out of the rookie class, and I had him on here, like Webster,
I was gonna
like
say-
you need to watch Webster, Jay Securich, you need to watch him, freaking
Dude,
Jacob Fouts. My gosh, having a great year. Like,
Well, I mean, one that I can stand out as a nation guy is Pat Slapper.
man, yeah, had him
And
on the
I mean,
show. He's
and that's what I'm
great.
getting at. He was just a nation guy, and everybody's like, "Oh,
That's a
crap."
dude.
He won at
quit
Pickwick catching
yeah.
smallmouth. He freaking smashed them on a mag draft at Santee. It don't matter. Caught him in Florida. It doesn't matter. He's caught them everywhere. So,
He
I
has.
mean,
and quit his job. Had a great job with Shields, and he told his whole story on the show. But to fish all open, he fished all the opens the year he made it. Freaking saved up, quit his job, took off, left the house, didn't go back home. Pre-fished all the open waters. Dude, that guy's story. Go back and watch that episode from hell. I think it was from. Might have been late 2020 because last year was his first year.
He made it in 2020.
Look, I interviewed him when he qualified, and dude, it's just incredible. That story is amazing. So,
Well, I mean,
he's definitely a guy.
That's right. I mean, Brad Watley's another one that had a career job with Cooper Tire and wanted to fish in the Classic, made the elites, and he's like, all right, let's do this.
Just threw it out. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was he's under medical leave right now for a sickness that he has that's I wouldn't wish on anybody. He's doing good. Everything's good, but
I didn't realize that he was under exemption.
and that's the other part that people don't see. You're fishing the Elite Series, you've spent all this money. Oh my gosh, I got sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't fish. So your sponsors are like, mine hadn't. I don't think his have, but contractually, if I don't fish all the tournaments, guess what? They ain't got to pay me. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
right.
it's just not painted gold roads. You know what I mean?
The heavens don't open up and money fall.
It's what I signed up for, and it's what I've always wanted to do. I don't want to do anything else.
Hell, you're not going to do anything
was
else.
gonna
I
say-
know you. Like it's just. Well, I'm just saying. Like you're not going to be in that position, dude. Like you're gonna be just fine.
But anyways, it's
No
just
matter how it shakes out.
it's just a deal of like Carl said it best. Like when you make it, that's when the work starts.
Yeah.
It's like it's not in the opens. That's just a good teaser for what you better get prepared for in life. And it doesn't matter. I said the opens, the Toyotas, whatever. It doesn't matter which trail you fish. You better be ready to get up earlier, stay later, work harder, do more stuff. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Like,
that's every bass tournament from 30 boat pot tournaments on a Saturday now.
That's what
Like
it's
guys
gonna
are down
be.
here practicing 5 days for tournaments on Wilson. On lakes they fish every day their whole life and they still go put in the work and you roll up on a Saturday and it's like, yeah, you're not going to beat that guy. Like, you're just not. Like it's very hard to freaking do.
I know.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you.
Well,
Always. We did another one.
we'll do it next August.
Well, I guess. I only get to see you once a year now, so August. I'm going to take y'all out with some good old Biloxi Blues, the song that I wear in half on this show. It's going to be new music eventually. We're going to record something one of these days. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. I appreciate Justin. Appreciate Tessa. If you're watching, Tessa, appreciate you sharing Justin with us today. And hopefully we didn't get too controversial. While you're listening to this, just remember, I started the show this way. I have a drink in my hand, and I'm probably being fed grapes on the beach in some exotic place. Just know that. And I will see y'all when I get back next week.
I never could make it last. Spanish moss, a Civil War ghost. Well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter, east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows, I'm leaving those burdens at rest. This highway, it does not know my name, and I don't care, no, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.